Good afternoon. Welcome to our Encore presentation of our contribution to Scam Awareness Week. 6 members of Living Connected are going to debate the topic that online banking is safer and better than traditional banking. This is a contribution that Living Connected is making to the scam debate. And those of you who are watching can put questions into the YouTube chat or the comments, and at the end of the presentation of all 6 speakers, we'll endeavour to answer some of the questions and deal with some of the comments that you've made. So I'm now going to call on the first speaker for the affirmative. This is Ridwone, and he's going to make the case for the proposition.
My name is Ridwone. I am one of the digital mentor in Living Connected. As we all know that we are going through Scam Awareness Week, so we will be talking over a topic that is internet banking is safer than the traditional way. So to clear my positions, I will be talking in agreement with the topic. Let's talk about why internet banking is safer than the traditional way. Firstly, the bank's reputation is on the line. Stringent encryption protocols on their website and in their apps. Next, it is their interest to make it safe because it costs them less than the maintaining physical and branches. Secondly, it is their interest to make it safe because it costs them far less and effort to maintain the physical stuff and the branches. Using mobile banking apps, we can actually set to receive notifications so that we can immediately know what sort of transaction is happening. And if we do not actually recognize them, we can report it immediately. That is how we can actually secure our banking transactions, which is not actually possible without internet banking. Also, we can easily change the limits of our transactions. So at any time, if we lose our credit cards or debit cards, it's only a replacement cost. Just make a call to the bank provider so that they can stop immediately. And yeah, that's how we can save more money. Also, most of the banking systems come under Android and Apple Pay, and they are very secure because they use a layer that actually masks the original credit card informations, and they provide their own originated virtual credit card information. So at any case, if it is in the verge of theft or scam or any kind of threat, so it is up to that security of for Apple and Android Pay. And actually you do not have to carry your wallet with bulk amount of cards anywhere. This is only made to be possible for internet banking. Setting up online banking is only possible with strong passwords, so people cannot just access them, as you can even get in computer or phone. So last but not the least, we can actually set up a 2-factor authentications as an added layer of security. What is 2-factor authentications? It is some kind of security level that gives you 2 types of authentications, for example, from your mobile phone while doing a transaction through a computer which you do not actually trust. So there are many reasons why internet banking is much safer these days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ridwone. That was a good start. So we're now going to ask the first speaker for the negative to give her position. So I'm going to now welcome Sue to the screen, and she will make her case to counter that of Ridwone.
Hello, my name is Susan, and I'm here to speak and defend in the negative. That means I will convince you that the traditional banking is definitely preferred and much safer than trusting it to online. Joining me on the team are Mija and David. One definition that describes traditional banking is safe and personal with a physical presence of bricks and mortar, which online banking definitely isn't. I'm sure you've seen the grand structures that look so solid, offer security, and are totally reassuring to a customer. That is the safe bricks and mortar of traditional banking. The personal means you actually see and talk to a real live person, even get a smile. So it's a physical action and not just a screenshot of your banking transaction. In the bank, there's someone who's there to answer your questions or help solve any banking issues. It's likely that that same person will be there next time you visit. Isn't it so much easier than navigating a list of FAQs provided online as a solution? According to the World Bank, online banking fosters inequality, or to put it another way, digital exclusion. Worldwide, not everyone has access to the technology needed for online banking. These are the old, the young, those living in poverty, and even the illiterate. And not everyone, especially the elders, have confidence in their ability to navigate online banking accounts. Many elders opt for the simple, enjoyable actions like, I use my iPad to play solitaire. A critical statistic is that many in our community don't trust the internet and especially its scam potential. They regularly read and hear of scams or their victims. So what do? They continue to put their trust in the traditional bricks and mortar bank. And for most elders, cash continues to be the method of any transaction they make. So I believe online banking impacts society's most vulnerable people, and that is why traditional banking is better and safer than online banking.
Thank you, Sue. That was a nice and interesting counter to the propositions of the affirmative case. The next speaker is going to be the second speaker for the affirmative, and this is from Naz, and she's going to add to their case for the topic. So, welcome, Naz.
Hi, I'm Nazafin Sultana. I'm going to support the argument online banking is better and safer than the traditional banking. As one of my team members, Ridwone already explained the safety features of online banking over the traditional banking, I would rather counter the arguments that my opposition have addressed. According to the first speaker from my opposition team, she would prefer to visit traditional bank as every time there would be the same person serving you with your queries, but she didn't mention the hassle of waiting in the long queue and the limitations of trading hours, where customer service is available 24/7 on online banking. According to Australian Banking Association, in 2020, 212,000 scam cases were reported. Only 8.4% of them made by internet and mobile app, where the 48.5% cases happen over the phone, 22.4% by emails, followed by text and in-person fraudulent. So scams can happen in many ways. It means even relying solely on traditional banking, there is still a significant chance of becoming a victim of scam. According to Australian Banking Association, 71% smartphone users now use their digital wallet weekly, where in 2019, it was 40%. For your information, digital wallet app is an app that stores your credit and debit card information. More than 80% of Australians prefer to transfer money, pay bills, or check account balances via online. 72% of Australians did not visit their banking branch in September 2021. This statistic indicates that banking customers continue to shift to digital. How can we forget the time of lockdown when we all solely dependent on online banking for shopping, grocery, and whatnot? My both opposition speakers told online banking isn't accessible to a group of people, or some elders could have difficulty in operating internet banking. Yes, that's true. But those are not relevant with safety issues. The service provided by Living Connected and other organizations like Living Connected, they are dedicated to support elderly people to become digitally independent. If an authorized body like ACCC still just warns of the safety issues of internet banking but does not prohibit from using it, then it is enough to prove that they still give preference to internet banking over traditional banking. I think there is enough evidence to support that online banking is safer and better than traditional banking. Thank you.
Thank you, Naz, for putting the case for your side. It's now the turn of Mija from the negative side to put the case, to support the case for their side. I'll now get Naz to present to you.
Good morning and thank you. My name is Mija. We on the negative feel that online banking is not safer than the traditional form of banking. Further to our first speaker's point, which rightfully raised the concern of digital exclusion, we also need to take into account the digital divide, which is the gap between people who have access to computers and those who do not, as well as those who can and cannot utilise them. Given that statistics prove without a doubt that we are an ageing population, the push for online banking has inadvertently excluded a lot of people, as it makes the assumption that there is a certain base level of computer literacy and competency amongst the greater community. One could say that if computer literacy was high enough amongst seniors, volunteer organisations such as Living Connected would not need to exist. According to a study in 2021 by Zuckerpool, fraudsters and hackers prefer to target the elderly when they utilise the internet, as they are seen as easier targets for scams. The ACCC has devoted an entire section on their website with detailed warnings and information regarding internet banking scams, from how they target people, what you can do to help safeguard yourself, along with a link to the Scam Watch webpage. If online banking was safer than traditional forms of banking, why would a body the size of one such as the ACCC put so much time and money into creating an intricate, accessible source of information for people regarding their internet banking safety? $851 million was lost to internet scams in 2020 in Australia alone, with approximately half of this being attributed to internet banking scams. If we take a look at the arduous process of setting up unique passwords to be able to first create, then access our internet banking profiles, not to mention needing to store these passwords safely, we can see that the banks themselves are almost handing out a pre-warning for customers that their funds may be able to be accessed by a third party without their consent. Given the invested time and energy put into providing useful and important information surrounding internet banking and the steps that need to be taken to protect ourselves from scammers, it is clear that online banking, despite being extremely convenient, is by no means safer than the traditional forms of banking. Thank you.
Thanks, Mija. You did some research there and produced some interesting arguments for the negative side. We're now going to get Vishu to sum up for the case for the affirmative. So I'm now going to ask Vishu to present the final argument for the affirmative.
Hello everyone watching. Hope everyone is doing well. My name is Vishu and I am the third and final member speaking today on behalf of the affirmative team with Ridwone and Naz. After hearing my team members and the opposition as well, I would like to sum up my side of this debate by pointing out few major differences that would convince you that internet banking is safer than traditional banking. Some people shy away from online banking because of the potential hacks that can happen online. However, considering that traditional banks store all your information in the same computer systems as online banking, there is no need to give up your control, convenience, and freedoms that come with online banking. With online banking, you can also transfer money whenever you want. So you can easily manage your money if you need to access money really quickly in cases of emergency, for example, booking flight tickets or online shopping and much more. Plus, you can also easily keep track of all your transactions that you make, as online banking allows you to see all transactions made on your account through the app that they have. So why spend all your day all going to the bank rather than just sitting at home, easy, secure, with instant notifications as well? You would know when the transaction was made at what time. So that would really save you a lot of time and energy. Also, not to mention all the security advancements that banks employ to protect your account, including instant card locking from the mobile banking app and advanced fraud detection systems banks use to try and prevent unapproved payments as well. Um, Overall, in general, online banking is more secure and more convenient with simplified apps and with more such supportive approaches. It's becoming more available for those who need help too. Services such as us living connected help people to transition towards online banking so that they can experience the great benefits that we've been debating about. Thank you.
So thank you, Vishu, for summing up the case for the affirmative. Okay, so our last speaker will be the last case for the negative, and we're going to call on David to put that case for us. So David, thank you very much for putting together this, and we welcome you to present your case.
Hello, my name is David, and I found this debate very interesting. Both sides have made valid points, and it's up to everyone to weigh up the for and the against to suit their individual needs. For myself, I grew up in a world of school banking protocols, and as a youngster, I had a job after school delivering medicines from our local pharmacy. This included delivering the takings from the pharmacy to the local bank. I now realise how dangerous this could have been if some bushranger knew about this, but it would have been the same if an online bushranger also saw the opportunity. In both cases, a sensible approach would be to take steps to minimise the risks. However, in my retirement in the small rural village with limited banking facilities, it makes the task of paying all those bills more difficult with writing cheques, mailing, and not being as mobile as I once was for trips to the post office or the bank being 100 kilometres away is all starting to get too difficult. The other problem I have is the deeply ingrained memory I have of the pleasure and pride I had as a 12-year-old about handing over my hard-earned treasure over the counter to the teller, who recorded the deposit in copperplate script in my own bank book, and a very satisfying thump of the stamp to conclude the transaction. I walked out of the bank, head held high, knowing that I was one step closer to my goal of attending the Scout Jamboree in Sydney in 1953. I lived in Brisbane at the time, and the train trip to Sydney and the Jamboree at Greystanes, it was all bush then, was a huge adventure. So in order to commit to online banking, I need to unlearn a lot of stuff that is very dear to me, and then learn a lot of new stuff that I don't know if I want or need. And it would take a full balance of consequences exercise to resolve. Never say never, but for the moment, no thanks. And thanks for your time.
Thank you, David. So you've now summed up in a very interesting way the case for the negative. So who have we got here? Hello, Vishu and David, one person presenting each side of our case.
Hi, Helen. How are you?
You know, I think well, my first impression from my team members, who I'm very proud of, they put a lot of effort into a bit of research and thinking about what they'd say in this debate. So thank you very much. I just wonder whether you really think that each of you won your cases between the three speakers, or what do you think, Vishu? Did you?
I feel we put up strong points up there against the opposition, and we should win this definitely.
Typical.
But I guess you're the boss, so you have to decide.
Okay. Okay. I'm the moderator. I'll make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how, David, do you actually use online banking? One thing I was thinking of while listening to the debate was that people might still think it better to do online banking because they've really haven't got much of an alternative these days, but they still mightn't agree with the topic, which says it's safer and better. So I just had the feeling that you might be in that category, David, that you might. Sorry, you're muted, David. Typical Zoom issue.
Yes, I couldn't survive without online banking. So it's difficult to argue against it.
Yeah. Well, but you can still argue that it's not as safe or
Not as safe, yeah.
good. They still might you have to do it. So most of us these days I just had the feeling that you might be in that category, David, that you might. Sue, I think you're getting some echo through. Sorry, you're muted, David. Typical Zoom issue. Sue, I think you might be bringing some feedback through your.
I couldn't survive without online banking. So it's difficult to argue against it.
Yeah. Well, but you can still argue that it's not as safe, or you're bringing that feedback through. So most of us see. This might mute you for a little minute if you can sort it out. Yeah. I'm probably one of those. Sorry, you muted, David. Typical Zoom issue. So I think you might be bringing feedback. Oh, you're right. Sue's having a bit of trouble with the sound from the YouTube broadcast and the Zoom effort, which is something that we have to deal with. One of the other questions that I think we has come up with a few of the speakers is the work that we do helping seniors to do their online banking, so that you know, we have a lot of experience of people that in the category of people who need to learn how to do their online banking because the local bank branch is closed, or they just have no other way of doing it, but they really find it difficult and they resent having to do it a lot of the time. I think the sentiment that David expressed, that he actually enjoyed the experience of going to a real bank as part of what they did and how they did things. So So how, Vishu, I know you've helped a few of the seniors. How have you found they respond when they feel that they've just got to learn how to do online banking, but maybe don't want to?
Yeah, at first it's really difficult for them because they don't know what they're doing. But by time when you explain it to them and they know, I think even David would agree that it's a bit more convenient in times like now, especially with COVID and everything as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that a lot of people do it, and well, maybe you feel this way, that you've got to do it, and it's the way that it makes it a little bit easier for you, particularly in lockdown? I think it's helped a lot of people to be able to do things from home.
Yeah, that's what we were focusing to as we help people on Zoom and everything, so that they can use more internet banking rather than, going to the bank, which they can't because of COVID and lockdown.
Hello, Sue.
Hello.
Yeah, YouTube feed.
Yes,
Yes, there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah, a bit of feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you feel about do you actually do online banking yourself?
Well, yes, even though I'm on the negative team, I have to admit that I have been using online banking probably for as long as it's been around.
Yeah.
So, we're talking maybe 15 years, and I'm a dedicated, I even use my wallet for purchases. I rarely carry cash. But I do believe that there is a lot of people in the world that don't have access to that or don't feel confident enough. And, the statistics show it, that they are open to a lot of fraudulent activity, and scamming is, sometimes a career place for a lot of young tech people or any tech people. They're doing scams constantly and identity theft. And at the end of the day, the only place to go to resolve any of those issues is back to the bank. You need to actually talk to someone, to see someone, and it becomes, a place where you can feel safer and more secure with your money. But, I take precautions that I'm not exposed to any of those sort of things. So I am probably a dedicated online banker. But there are times when I need to go to actually approach someone, and I need to use an ATM for cash at some stage. I was caught short just this morning because I had to offer $10 to buy a Christmas present for a group person, and of course, using my wallet, I could not find $10 anywhere. Yeah. So there are still lots of support for cash transactions and need for cash transactions. And then, of course, there's all of those, at least half of the world that cannot access any technology or have the latest technology that they can use. And so we must always remember that they are a great proportion. Whilst we in the Western world find it very easy, it's not always that easy for others.
I don't know whether you saw the video that's up on our YouTube channel that was actually moderated or by Vishu about the people, particularly elderly in Bangladesh, that had a pretty high use of mobile phones to do their banking and so on. So that was the case, wasn't it, Vishu? Yeah. So there are places.
There are, yes. Yeah. And of course, that's generated by lots of other reasons too, not just that they find, they don't have a bricks and mortar bank available for them. And, they're, it's very widespread that they are using it. I do agree. But then that's still not a greater percentage of that country either.
No. So, David, I wandered down at, you live in a sort of a village quite away from the capital cities, and I think we'd have a lot of retired people down there. Is there still a lot of need for cash where you are? Do a lot of people still use cash?
A lot of need, yes. Yeah, our NAB bank is only open in the mornings now.
Oh, that's
That's
interesting.
the only access we've got apart from the post office.
The post offices are, yes, taking over that role.
Mhm.
Yeah, which you find a lot of queues in post offices, but I can't say I've ever seen a queue at a bank for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yes. Yes, there's always a queue at my little local post office,
Yes.
and you know, you've got to keep your distance as well, so it goes out onto the footpath and down the right.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting thing how you know people adapt, and the post office, despite some of its criticisms, I think has done quite a good job of expanding its services. So particularly for country towns and things.
It shows the need that people still depend on a banking that isn't online, and you know the post office has filled the gap for those places that do not have a physical bank, or that the branches have closed down, and you know, and they have their ATMs there as well, so they are obviously filling a gap that is a need in the community.
Yeah. Do you think Living Connected, which a few of the speakers have mentioned our services, should we be trying to persuade or encourage people to learn how to do online banking, or should, if they really don't want to, should we just leave it at that and not try and push it too hard?
Well, there are those that are determined that they will not expose themselves. And, you know, I've spoken to a few of those. I've known of 2 other incidents in the last 3 weeks about identity theft, where they've actually had bank accounts set up in their name because of identity threat. These little rumours spread very quickly, and especially for those people that are feeling insecure about their knowledge of technology, we can give them that confidence, but they then have to carry around a book with their account number, their password, and not only that, the 2-factor recognition for security quite often then poses another issue, because they have to read a message, then remember that message, and then go back to their page to actually put in the 2-factor verification. So it is complex whilst it is secure to a certain degree. And sometimes I think, you know, I would like as many as possible in our groups to embrace internet banking, but I haven't been approached for it.
You've helped a few people, haven't you, Vishu? Things like that. Do you feel you push them too hard? Because I imagine you'd be very enthusiastic about getting them onto the systems and getting them working.
Yeah, definitely. As even Sue said, like the 2-step verification is really secure, but sometimes the process gets a bit longer for them, so they get confused as well. But yeah, that's why I guess Living Connected is here, and everyone like us, to help them so that they can understand and remember what they have to do and have a secure bank account too.
And they carry it around on a piece of paper, because you know it gets very confusing for them. And
another thing with piece of paper is you can lose it anywhere, so it might be
yes.
I have a problem that they want to write down the code that they get sent, and you tell them that they don't need to remember that, it'll be a different one next time. So they don't understand of your password you have for ever, or that the codes and so on are temporary things, so that confuses people as well. How about you, David? Would you be sad if everything went on to technology and we didn't have anything like cash anymore?
No, that wouldn't be. I was just thinking, 20 years ago I was involved in a program that Microsoft did called UP. It stood for Unlimited Potential, trying to eliminate the digital divide. And the problems we had there working with Indigenous people and long-term unemployed were the same as we have now. So I think it's a generational thing. Us oldies have got to die out, the young ones will take over and do online banking.
Have you ever come come across a village or something that has its own local currency, that they set up an exchange system within a local thing that used their own, they could swap and things for goods and services.
Like bartering, barter.
Yeah,
the barter economy, yes.
So
I know one in Wollongong, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we used to have a token system for babysitting when my kids were little, and you used to have these tokens and you'd swap them around to pay for babysitting, and then you'd get some for doing some babysitting. So
Yes.
so I would imagine if we lost cash, I think those sorts of little arrangements would probably spring up a bit. The thing is, with cash, it can bypass the official systems, and I think governments and people like that don't like them very much.
I also think online banking does divide those that are good budgeters and those that don't have any knowledge of how they're managing their own finances. And in support of a cash economy, often a lot of people will withdraw a certain amount of money every week as cash, and then use that cash and know that they have to budget that over a whole week before their next income's available. And I know people that still do that, and they find that that's a way of managing their finances and not getting into overdraft sort of situations where when you're just tapping your phone, over a terminal, it doesn't really record for you what you're spending. So budgeting comes into that sort of scenario as well, and financial management.
I noticed that a few of the banks do have some facilities on their website for budgeting to help people budget. Yeah. I don't know how many. I don't know anyone who actually uses those. Yes, that is do you think it's because it's so easy to spend money with a card or a phone that it tends to put people into debt more easily? They spend more than they really should. What do you think, David? Do you think making it easy to spend money is dangerous?
Oh, I don't think so. We had a situation here in our village where the fees that the people in the village pay to the owners, they stopped them paying by cash. Everybody had to get a credit card, and that caused absolute chaos. I thought there was going to be a revolution.
We had a guy today who was trying to set up his MyGov account and link it to Medicare so he could get his vaccination certificate, and he didn't have enough identity that he could put in. He didn't have a car license, he didn't have a passport, and so on trying to do things online to set up, he just didn't have enough points of identity that he could actually do it, which was driving him hard. What do you think about budgeting, Vishu? Are you good at budgeting, or do you spend money without keeping much track of it?
No, I do keep track of my money. I just don't spend all of it because well, as an international student, you do have to save around. I can just and I have limited set of income too, so I have to balance my budget. So yeah, internet banking helps in that case because you can make like different accounts in your app to spend on different things like rent, food, groceries, and like
so sort of the budgeting thing that I was talking about.
So that's what I like, and I do it as well. I mean, I try to follow it. It's not like I save money every week, but I try my best.
Probably people who've been older have done what Sue's done, probably done a little bit more budgeting, and it'd be a bit more prominent in their mind, so they're unlikely to get into trouble, whereas people who don't know anything, younger people who don't know anything, but sort of the easy way to spend cash, they need to be encouraged to do a bit more budgeting. Now, that occurred to me that that's one of the things that some of the older people we help might be able to teach the younger people. I'm always looking, we help the older people with their technology, but I would like our younger members of the Living Connected team to find things they can learn from the older people. So Yeah.
I'll be on it, boss.
So,
Yes,
so I mean, that's a really good point to finish on. Does anyone want to say anything about the things that our younger people who act as our volunteer helpers and so on can learn from our clients who are usually older people?
Educate me. Educate people.
I mean, we used to have the banks as it was a socialization perspective. You know, you'd go to the bank, you'd know the person behind the counter because they lived in your community. You respected the bank manager. So that is a different system to online banking, where you don't have any contact with anyone, and I think that's probably why older people may prefer. You know, the elders might still like that sort of perspective, but.
So one thing I would like is, you know, people like that have been around pre the sort of really digital world, that, you know, the social importance of social connection. I think there's a lot been discussion about that, not just in banking, but in everything, and whether you know, Zoom or any of these things where we try to connect online makes up for the need to meet face to face. I think you'd probably, David, you'd agree with that.
Absolutely,
yeah. What about you, Vishu? Do you find that you get as much out of the connection with people online as you do face to face?
No, definitely face to face is more better, because you when you're talking to someone when they're in front of you, it's different, I guess, as when someone's typing about something on online chatting. But yeah, it's I guess now everything's changing, and that's how people meet. So it is the new normal, I would say, for everyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
But yes, I'd just like to you know, to encourage our elders to, so they, I think, usually enjoy the social interaction with our helpers. So when our clients come
absolutely
along, that connection, particularly between generations, I think it's often. I was helping a lady who's even quite a bit older than me. She's 92 today, and you know, even just her generation, comparing things, it was really interesting to hear her talk about things that she's done in the past, and how things, you know, that some of the things that she finds now a bit difficult, but she's pretty fluid.
Yes. And you know, we can, Living Connected can continue to encourage more use of technology and support the people that are willing to do it, I think.
Yes.
One of the key things some of the younger people could improve is their empathy skills, the ability to put themselves in the shoes of an older person and understand the world from their point of view. This is why I was talking about the memories that I have attached to my early days in banking.
Yes. So I think, you know,
that's a good point, David. I do understand that.
Okay. So I think that's a really good place to stop. So I think that we'll leave on that point. And thank you all, particularly the three of you who put together your debating speeches. That was
no
really
worries. I hope
thanks,
someone
Vishu.
learned something. Thank you. Thank you, guys.